Hello fellow photographers and artists out there. Today I'm going to show you how I went from this to this. Hello everyone and welcome to the first installment of my Lightroom tutorial segment of my YouTube channel. Alright, I'm going to fire up Lightroom and show you how I got the results of that image. Here it is, straight out of the camera, raw file. And as you can see, it's underexposed a bit. Judging by the histogram here, it's very heavy on shadows. Pardon me. Underexposed. For the exposure segment of the histogram, you want your histogram to be right about here, but I'm right about here. So we want to re-expose this, give it a little more contrast, warm it up a little bit, make it pop, make it come to life, because as it is right now, it's a very dull picture. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to show you my basic workflow. We're going to start here on the right. And the first thing I'm going to do is open up the shadows a bit. I usually go halfway to about 60. Then we're going to reduce the highlights. Now watch the sun really become defined and watch the clouds become defined. I'm going to lower the highlights. Look at that. Look at the sun just... Now I don't want the sun to be like one big splotch. So you want to keep as much flare as possible while maintaining its shape. And so minus 26 seems about right. Whites and blacks. With the whites, what you want to do is you want to hold the Alt key down. Okay. And what that's going to do is it's going to mask your selection. You're going to take the white bar, go all the way to the right till you see a white splotch. There you go. Until you see that. Until you see something white show up in the masking section. Same thing for the black. You go to your black bar over here, and we're going to select the Alt key, hold it down. And we're going to go to the left, reduce the blacks just until you see some black splotches on the screen. Minus 19. That gives it a nice tonal range. Gives it good contrast. That's what you want. You don't want, you think of tonal range, you think contrast and shadow and highlights. It's more than just shadow and highlights. It pertains to your white levels, your black levels, and even your color. Okay. Now, what we want to do now is warm up this image because it's really blue. So we're going to go to the white balance section and we're going to pick shade. Look at that. See how much warmer it got? Now, in order to compensate for that warmth, we lost a lot of blue. So in order to compensate and re-add the blue that we lost up on the sky, we're going to select a graduated filter here. Okay. I love this tool. And we're going to drag down like a paintbrush. Okay. Just until we see the sky. Just until we fill the sky. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a little blue. Okay. Blue, brighten up the sky, give it some life. And add a little exposure to give it, well, I may darken the sky. Let's see, try darkening it. Too dark. You know what, we'll leave it. Let's leave the exposure. I love that nice blue hue. It's absolutely fine in my book. Maybe, you know what, add a little magenta too, just a few notches. Go to the tint bar here. This is the tint bar. Go to the right, maybe 6 notches, 5 notches, 6, 7 notches. Give it a little magenta hue, you know, blue magenta hue. Okay, press the done button. We're done with that. Now, we're going to warm up the sun. I think I'm going to add more white too. Let's go to the white bar. Let's add a little more white because the sun, yes, that's how I want my sun, just like that. Defined, but also blinding, you know. Beautiful. And let's add a little more shadow. Let's add a little more shadow to 70, right about 70, 69, all right. Okay, now we're going to take the radial filter here. See the radial filter? It's the circle. What this does is it allows you to apply changes to your image within a circular area. So we're going to take this whole area right here, okay? This whole area around the sun where the clouds are, and we're going to make a nice oval. Okay? Nice oval. Okay, and we're going to add warmth to it. We go to the temperature bar up here on the very top. Add more warmth. Look at that. Now you want to be careful. You don't want to go too far to the right. You want to just give it enough warmth so like this it blends in naturally into the sky. I think that's about right. Okay. And we're almost done, folks. I may want to increase the exposure, the overall exposure a bit. Let's go and see how far we can go. 24, 48, no. 24. A quarter of a stop. And now we're going to apply finishing touches to this image by brightening up and sharpening it, sharpening the fence. For that, we're going to go to the adjustment brush, which is basically a paintbrush. It's a digital paintbrush. We're going to select it. Okay. Set your exposure to 70. And we're going to paint up and down. Look at that. See how it adds a little... It really brings that fence to life. And not so much in the distance. I think it looks fine in the distance. You want it more or less in the foreground here. And then you can mess around with your exposure. If you want it brighter, you brighten it up. I think just under 1 stop is fine. Now, last but not least, we're going to add some clarity to this image. We're done with the adjustment brush. We're going to go back to the radial filter. Now, I don't want to add clarity to the sky because then it makes the clouds too sharp. I want to keep them soft. So we're just going to add clarity to the bottom half of the fence area here. Back to the graduated filter. Okay. Here we go. We're going to start at the bottom and pull all the way up. Now watch what happens when I add clarity. It's going to really sharpen up that wood and foreground. You don't want to go too much because then it adds, you get a lot of chromatic aberration, which you want to avoid. You don't want any of that edge glow around the edges. Go to about 40. I usually never go past 40 when it comes to the clarity. And there you have it. We are finished. And if you want to brighten it up a little more, okay, you go to your vibrance tool, your vibrance bar, and, you know, play around a little bit. In this case, I think you don't want to go too bright because then it looks phony. It looks ridiculous. You want to go just enough to give it a little extra color. I'd say 24, 25. And there you have it, folks. If I was to do anything else to this image, I would probably add a little more contrast. Go down to the contrast bar. Go to about 15 or so. Give it a little more contrast. And that's that. So I'll end this video again by comparing the original product and this product here. If you want to give it any more, if you want to really go far and add more drama to this image, you could always go and add a vignette. Okay, here's the vignetting tool, and what it does is it darkens the corners a bit. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this video informative, and be sure to tune in from time to time and like and help my channel grow. I would appreciate it. Thanks again, folks.